Welcome, everyone. I'm joined today here by men's basketball coach and assistant athletic director Danny Lawson for Emmanuel's Division III week. Coach Lawson has a unique perspective as he has both coached at the Division I level and played at the Division II level and is now coaching at the Division III level. So with that said, Coach Lawson, I was curious if you could talk us through a little bit of what it means to you to be a coach at the Division III level and your experience to how you got here.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I always say to people that, coaching at the small college level, specifically at the Division III level, it really is the purest form of coaching a sport, in my case, basketball, the purest form of coaching and mentoring, young men, at the college level. A lot of the other aspects that, can influence or impact the experience that student athletes have, at the higher levels, certainly financially and otherwise, are largely non-issues at the Division III level. A lot of the financial commitment is obviously from the student athletes and their families. And as a result, it's a really enjoyable experience to go through with the student athletes because you really get to see their growth, obviously, on the court, but you really get to have a hands-on experience with them to help them grow up as young men and mature to better themselves as adults when they go on to graduate.
So with that, there are some unique things that come with Division III, and having been a player at Division II and coach at Division I. Can you tell me like something that you wish recruits might have known that is different from the D1 or D2 experience if they were to, have the opportunity to also play at the Division III level?
Yeah. So what a lot of recruits don't realize, and one of the biggest reasons is, pretty much every basketball player's goal at some point in their careers is to achieve a scholarship and to try to play at the highest level. And what a lot of players and families don't realize or aren't necessarily educated on are there's only a certain amount of scholarships in the country that are available, period. At the Division I level, each program has 13 full scholarships, and at the Division II level, if they're fully funded, each program has 10 full scholarships. Well, that means there's thousands of players all over the country, and specifically in the Northeast in our region that might be capable of playing at a higher level. But the bottom line is there's more good players than there are spots to get scholarships. And what I always suggest to recruits and their families is to go watch every level of basketball, go in person and watch a game live. If you came to watch an Emmanuel Albertus Magnus game or an Emmanuel LaSalle game, you would have a hard time not having a high level of appreciation for those players individually, for how they play collectively as a team, and for the high level of coaching that we have at our level. I think sometimes, just due to their lack of exposure, families and student athletes might not realize how competitive the Division III level is, how talented players are at the Division III level, how committed they are. A lot of the experiences at the small college level, they might not travel as far to play for games, or they might not go on a ton of flights for games, but their year-round commitment on an individual level is, just as high. It's just as disciplined. Their work ethic is just as good. And so I think the biggest thing is you need to appreciate the level, and the only reason you can truly do that is by experiencing it in person and attending games. And that's why I always suggest the best way is to just keep an open mind. Go watch a couple Division III games, go watch a Division II game, and go watch a Division I game. And if it's a lower level Division I game, all three of those levels, the guard play is going to look very similar. Probably the biggest difference you're going to see is the size of the front court players in basketball specifically, but really good Division III teams that are winning at a high level in their conference and having the potential to perform on a national level, they're going to look very similar to levels that might be perceived as higher than them.
You mentioned, Emmanuel versus LaSalle or Albertus. So, those are a couple of schools in our conference, the Great Northeast Athletic Conference, which is a Division III conference. So can you just maybe cover what's special specifically about Emmanuel or playing in the GNAC, that could be a draw for that potential student athlete?
Well, as you mentioned, the GNAC is an extremely highly competitive conference, and I think this is my third year as part of the conference, and I think it's only gotten better over the last 3-4 years, and it was already highly competitive before I had the good fortune to join it. And I think you see it with a lot of the you know there's not a ton of difference between the perceived top and bottom of the conference. I think there's been a lot of schools that have had individual years where they've won the regular season championship, they've won the playoff championship. The last few years, St. Joe's, Connecticut, and Albertus have had, to kind of battle it out for the NCAA berth. And as recently as, Johnson and Wales 3 years ago had the chance to. LaSalle's made the NCAA tournament multiple times. St. Joe's, Maine has made it. And, obviously at Emmanuel, we're trying to get to that point, and we're building it with a lot of positive progress. But I think the overall level of play in the league is very balanced. You have some different styles of play that are exciting. There's a lot of high scoring teams that are very explosive offensively. There are some teams that have, different foundations defensively that give you different looks on every given night. And, being a Northeast based, pretty much New England based conference, there's really, really highly competitive opponents that you can go against, that are all kind of within a 3-hour drive. And, I think in regards to what makes it unique at Emmanuel, obviously playing in that environment is exceptional. We have a great facility here in terms of our gym and our athletic facilities, in addition to our location, in the Fenway neighborhood in downtown Boston. So the overall athletic academic combination experience that we get with, the athletic positives that I just mentioned, along with the exposure to internships, the proximity to alumni, job bases, just things that are going to help you on a professional level once your athletic career is done. I think that's what a lot of recruits and their families are looking for. How can they maximize their athletic academic experience? And, I think you and I would both agree that we feel pretty strongly that we'd put up anyone's against ours at Emmanuel.
Absolutely. So last question, if you could just real quickly describe an Emmanuel men's basketball player, as a Division III athlete, what are you looking for?
Well, obviously the first thing that you notice when you're recruiting in any sport, and we're no different, is, you want a certain level of talent that you feel like can affect your program in a positive way and give you a chance to, succeed at a consistent, sustainable level. We're looking for players that are highly skilled to shoot, pass, and dribble, that have an excellent IQ for the game, that are extremely tough mentally and physically. We might not always be able to recruit the tallest, players in the country along with those skill sets, but we're going to get people that understand what it takes to fit into a team scheme, on the offensive and defensive end. And probably most importantly is we're looking for people who really love and are passionate about the sport of basketball. And a lot of times those two things can go together if you have people that have developed really good instincts and a feel for the sport, and as well as a high skill level to think and play and execute effectively. There's probably a pretty high likelihood that they're in love with basketball. They're in love with being part of a team and being there for their teammates, and really, investing in representing the program and representing the school.
Awesome. Well, Coach Lawson, thanks for your time and being a part of Emmanuel's Division III week.
Great. Thanks a lot, Dan. Thanks for having me.
You got it.